Recording in progress.
Ass fat, legs funky. I had to decide.
Stopping in, we been tapping in. We ain't never late. Dropping gems, we been locking in. Now let's elevate. Took L's to win, running laps again. This is steady race. People's champ, boy, yeah, you know I've been a heavyweight. Stopping in, we been tapping in. We ain't never late. Dropping gems, we been locking in. Now let's elevate. Took L's to win, running laps again. This is steady race. People's champ, boy, yeah, you know I've been a heavyweight.
Recording in progress.
And we are back with part 3 of our year-end wrap-up. It is time for the Insomnia Hour. I had way too much fun doing the part 1. I was just like, man, my playlist, I know it's late as hell, and I was like, I feel like I might ride around for like a half an hour.
Yo, fam, I may just sit in the car and just turn the music on, and just be like.
I played you that game Pusha T and 2 Chainz song.
Fam.
I thought that you had heard it, bro, because I talked about it when the album was up.
This man Push said, hit you in your attic, turn your chimney off. 2 Chainz said we kicked her out the group because she had an Android.
And I told you, he comes in different, bro. I'm pretty sure he did not write that verse at all.
He had 16 bars before the beat dropped.
Oh, it was crazy. It was amazing. Like, it's perfect. And that was my number 10.
That joint was fire.
And we had a very different list. I feel like for these movies and TVs, our lists are going to be pretty similar.
So, unlike you, I didn't watch 78 movies this year.
We're doing TV right now, though, right?
Yes. But, so...
Wake me up!
I'm still waiting for the old lady from Sing.
Wake up! Gotta make it with the stake up!
Yeah. Forever will live rent free in my head. I know I say that all the time, but I just...
Apparently, I watched 36 television shows this year. I feel like that's a low. I feel like I watched more. I'm just looking at my list. I feel like I watched more and I just forgot to add them to the stuff. There was also like a lot of anime and stuff that I watched that I did not put on here. But like, I also specifically on this list is just shows from this year that came out.
Okay.
So like, there's a lot of shows that like I watched that were like older shows and things like that. Oh, you just deleted a bunch of stuff. What just happened?
No, I'm just switching too.
Okay, I'm still not gonna look though.
Yeah, that's for my movies anyway. We're not there yet.
But for those who weren't here for part 1, we're doing our year-end wrap-up. We're doing our top 10 television shows of the year. I also wanted to put the disclaimer out there, like I did with the music, is that this is our favorite 10 television show, not necessarily the best. We also didn't see every television show. For instance, I know for a fact you and I did not watch Succession, and we did not watch White Lotus.
And I've heard some good things about Succession.
I've heard great things about both shows, and White Lotus is on my list of shows to get ready once these shows are done, that I'm about to bang out. So we will get to those. So these are only the shows that we watched this year.
Okay.
There was like I said, 36 shows, and we had to cover it to 10. I don't know about you, but like there was like 5 shows that very easily could have been on this list, and I had to body bag them.
Tough. It's tough.
I was gonna say, like, how do you want to go about
this? I put these in order of 10, but I feel like as I'm looking at my list, I feel like I can move some stuff around.
Do you? If I give you 10 seconds right now to move anything around, 10.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
9.
It's gonna make my brain explode.
8.
Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
So like, I think we should do it the same way that we did before. Like, we'll do Serpentine.
Okay.
If we have that show on our list, I guess for like where we can just like not talk about it, but it's like, for instance, if you have a show on yours that was in my honorable mentions, let me just say that. Even though, like, I know you probably didn't put honorable mentions.
I did it.
But it's like, this year had so much TV that it was hard to remember.
That I wanted on here that I couldn't fit.
I was surprised. First of all, this is why I give you shit about being prepared and stuff like that. It's just like, I know, like, when you look back at this list, it's like, damn, that show came out this year? It's really, really hard to remember some of these things because, like, these things come in seasons.
Yeah.
And, like, these other shows, they grab us and take us for so long that you forget that this show was this year. Then there's other shows that were at the end of last year, but, like, their episodes were still in this year, a la Mayor of Kingstown, things like that.
True that.
So we had a lot of that going on in there. But I digress. Would you like to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Go right ahead.
All right, so I'll start off with a show that I've recently just finished. It had been out for a while, but I got a chance to start it, and the new season just came out not too long ago, and I finished that as well. And that's none other than Gangs of London.
That was this year?
Yes.
I'm in the middle of Gangs of London season 2 right now, and I'm mad that I didn't start watching this show before. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you
So
you want to tell people what the show's about real quick?
Yep. So Gangs of London is basically it stars a cast that aren't too familiar from other shows.
Not at all.
The two most familiar faces are the father, which is
He's a bit actor. I don't know what he's from.
For OGs, he was like the mechanic on Star Trek. He was the Irish dude, like. And
Scotty?
No, that's like.
That's what I mean. I was like, he's
I'm
not
talking
that
about
old.
Star Trek: The Next Generation with
okay,
Captain Picard and everything. Got the big head and the curly fro.
It looks like John C. Reilly.
Yes, or he looks like the brother from Step Brothers. Not
John C.
Wilfred.
Reilly.
Oh, there you go. That's exactly who he looks like. And then the mom, of course, is the mom from
Game of Thrones.
It's
Catelyn Stark.
There you go. Aside from those two, everybody else you're not going to remember. But basically, the dad ends up being killed. And then the order of operation goes down to the son. He has two sons. One son ends up taking over the family drug business, and he starts making decisions that are contrary to his father, but he is still making things move and happen. Through that, him and his mom end up in a course relationship to where they aren't agreeing the way the family is moving. There's a number of different groups who they don't see eye to eye with, i.e. Gangs of London. Then you have the deep cover situation where you have the couple cops who are like undercover trying to figure out what's going on. And Elliot is my favorite character.
Is he?
Yes, because of where he ends up.
My thing is just like they treat this nigga like he's Batman. Like just because he knows boxing, this nigga can't lose a fight ever. He be waxing people. I'm surprised.
Why can't the black guy be that guy who doesn't lose that?
My brother brought up a great point. So I'm in the middle of this show, and that's the only reason why it's not on my top 10. I feel like it would be if I had finished it. But it's right up my alley. It's created by the creators that made the Raid movies.
That's what I was gonna go.
So
with.
all of the fighting and the choreography is fantastic.
Impeccable.
Very visceral, very gory, things of that nature.
Yep.
But my brother had brought up something. He goes, "Yo, has a black person ever killed another black person on the show?" And I was like, I don't think so, bro. Like, I don't think any of the black people have ever put hands on another black person in the show. And the black people are kind of at the top of the food chain in this show. Like, they're the ones that is running things. They're not playing. And I was like, it is great to see. I was like, look at God work.
Yep. So it's look at God work. But basically,
unseasoned killing each other.
Through all that, it's basically like everybody jockeying for position and wanting to be the king of London through these gangs that are in the area. And like I said, there's gun trades, there's drug trade, there's beef, like what you would usually get, but the storylines are like very unique. They make sure that they weren't lazy with the writing.
Not at all.
And they make sure that they keep you entertained outside of like the very entertaining fights based on the movie Raid and that guy being the director. The storylines still keep you intact so that you're not just waiting for the next action scene to happen. I think one of the dopest scenes was like when they were fighting and they were like going through a house and there was a kid.
I didn't get to that episode yet.
It's not a bad spoiler, but like there's a kid sitting in a hotel watching TV and he's watching Raid on the TV. I was just like,
it's hard, bro. That's hard.
Look at you.
Like I said, the only reason it's not on my top 10 is because I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know that it came out this year. And I think it's a fantastic number 10.
When you do finish, you're gonna be like, oh shoot.
I almost texted you a couple times to be like, I'm so glad that we decided to watch this show. Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, I sent it to him on TikTok. I was like, yo, check out the trailer for the show. He was like, oh yeah, that's dope. The next day he was like, yeah, so I watched all of it. And I was like, bro, I haven't started it yet. And like, I'm really jealous that like you got to go through it before me. I was like, yo, this is supposed to be, you know how like when you put somebody onto music and they become a bigger fan than you or something like that, and it's just like, what the hell, man? Where I'm like, yo, check out this J. Cole, and like the next time I see you, you're like, yeah, I know all the words, and I don't know none of them. I'm like, oh, come on, fam.
Appreciate you.
But it's like fantastic show. I think it's a great number 10 pick. My number 10 pick.
Okay.
And this was tough.
Okay.
It was The Boys.
Ooh, yeah, that's when I didn't make my list.
I know, The Boys. There was a bit of a tussle at this number 10 spot.
Yeah, my favorite.
And what is going on there?
I don't know. Keep going. I will find out.
But this season of The Boys, with the addition of Soldier Boy, played by Jensen Ackles, with Homelander kind of like finally just, saying F it and just being the true Homelander, giving us that fantastic speech that Metro Boomin ended up using for his song Supervillain or Superhero. I just found this season super entertaining. I think early on the show kind of like relied on the gore and just like the aspect of like bad language and stuff like that, just to get us into this. Oh, they're not like regular superheroes because they curse and they do this. Right. And I think this time they finally like really leaned into it, and it's like, this is what it would really look like if superheroes were around. And then one of them just decided like, yo, bump this. Right. And it was like, we got to see a lot more of Homelander. I think they trimmed the fat of like a lot of the characters that like we don't need a lot of screen time from them. Yeah. So they didn't give it to us. But it was like, this was really them leaning into like how sick like the Homelander, the things that he made, like the Deep do, like eat his own homeboy and stuff like that. Like the way he was talking to A-Train about him being fat and so, and like how he's just like I don't give a shit anymore. Then it was like that one girl, he was like, yo, jump. Right. And she was like, what? He was like, I said jump. Right. It's like she killed herself or something. Right. It's a wild show, and then that was my number 10 show.
That's what's up. It's not a bad show.
Not at all.
I try. Like, I literally had it on there, and I was just like, I gotta get this in there. I gotta take you off.
I think that speaks volumes to how great TV was this year. That The Boys normally would be like a top 3 show, and it barely made my cut, and it didn't make your cut.
Listen, if you hear my next 3, you can be like, dang, I can see why The Boys didn't make it.
Go ahead.
So at number 9, I have Euphoria.
It didn't make mine.
Ooh!
It didn't make mine. And I like Euphoria more than you, but go ahead.
So, what's her name?
Who?
The main character.
Zendaya.
Yeah. So Rue. So basically, Zendaya is a team that's struggling with her sobriety. And through her struggling with her sobriety, she gets into a number of different ordeals and relationships. And through that situation, I think the reason it landed so prevalent for me is because, like, being in human service and working with kids, you feel like this is a lot of stuff that these kids are dealing with nowadays. And parents and family and friends are overlooking a lot of the stuff and just thinking that kids are growing up the way we grew up, and it's far worse. Like,
it's very different.
It's far worse. And not because I feel like they're in more danger, but it's just because it's something that we haven't dealt with. And because it's new to them and new to us, you really don't know how to help the kids, and it's kind of like trial by error as you're going along, and you're hoping that something works, but we really don't have a solution for it. So like, while you're watching this show, you're like, dang, how do you really help in this situation? And it's painful to watch, but you're so drawn in. And then they have these even crazier situations where you're like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And then you look at a kid and you like in real life, and you see pain and anguish in their face, and I'm like, Dad, what was your last night like? Like, damn. Like, you know what I mean? So this one stuck for me. I think Zendaya does a really good job with her part. She's a phenomenal actor. And if you haven't seen it, check out Euphoria.
I'm very surprised that this made your number 9, because like, you weren't the highest on season 2 in general, or was it just the finale that you?
It was just the finale.
It was just the finale.
Yeah, it was just the finale.
Because I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't go with it, because I think the finale didn't stick the landing that well. But it's like, there's a lot of moments just like in this season. Like, you think about like Fez fighting Nate Jacobs at one time at the party. You think of like what's her name, Cassie, just like losing it in the bathroom, and like Rue being like, why don't you tell her that you've been banging Nate Jacobs like this whole time? It's like, what'd you say?
Right.
Then you got to play and all this other stuff. There's so many like, just like, you needed to be there moments. Like, it was definitely a pop culture show. Like, everybody was watching it at the time that it was on. My number 9 was Peacemaker. I think it is the best comic book show that came out this year.
That's a good show.
It is sad to hear that DC, with all the changes that they're making, have decided to not move forward with the television show.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they're shaking up everything, bro. Like, almost everybody's getting fired.
Don't shake up the stuff that's working, though.
You would think that, right? So Peacemaker follows John Cena's character from the movie Suicide Squad. He's not really a superhero. He's like more of a anti-hero. Yeah, it's kind of like they play him almost like he's like DC's Deadpool in a sense, where he's very slapsticky, but at the same time, like a lot of the stuff that he's doing, like it's real stuff. Like, you know, he has like a great speech at one point in time where he's like, "Oh, you're like Batman." He's like, "No, because Batman's a pussy." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "The Joker, I'm gonna smoke his ass." He's talking like that. He's like, "The guys that I fight, they don't come back, and like, that's why you don't hear about me in the news and stuff like that."
And it's got Tasty from Orange Is the New Black in it.
What the hell is Tasty?
She's a character from Orange Is the New Black.
I didn't watch Orange Is the New Black.
She's the black girl.
Okay, got you. Yeah, she's in it. Like, I was like,
Say yeah, she's in it.
But the show stars Peacemaker. This is following the events of the Suicide Squad, where he was shot down by Rick Flag, and he's in the hospital, and like he gets up and like he has a new mission, and his mission is to stop the butterflies. And it's like the butterflies are like this group of aliens that like flies up into people's noses and takes over their brain, and they're using their brain power to feed like this giant worm. But there's a lot of hilarious stuff that takes place, and it's very well done. John Cena, I think this is his best acting role that he's done. And I think it's a hilarious ride, and I was very much awaiting a season 2, and it's like it didn't deliver, and it has one of the best opening theme songs like of any show, like "Do you want to taste? Do you want to taste, man?" And I got like the dance song. I was just like, oh man, I'm so mad.
With the straight faces too.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm so mad that this show like isn't making a comeback, and I think it has. I think what a lot of these things are missing and stuff like that is like the heart, and it's like it finds a way to like not just give you like a jokes a million mile a minute. It's like they give you like the ins and outs of like how these people even join like this type of like what would you call them, like a black ops type of team, because it's like he's taking like a type of mission like they wouldn't give like an actual superhero type of deal, but like Peacemaker.
It's basically like, hey, you messed up, so you got no choice but to take this mission.
Pretty much.
Like, you trying to get back in good graces.
Pretty much.
All right, so at number 8, I have The Patient.
It didn't make my top 10.
Oh, it made mine.
You were very much on it, and
yes,
you were right. But go ahead.
I enjoyed it. So The Patient stars Steve Carell.
Yep.
Hey, look at me getting better with the names. Steve Carell, and he's a therapist. And his current patient is lying to him about why he needs therapy, because he's trying to fill out if he can have a therapist who he can truly be honest about. And what he's trying to be honest about is the fact that he kills people and he doesn't know how to stop killing people. And it comes from some of the most random things, but basically like if you do something disrespectful or do something hurtful, or you find some way to make him upset, he will get angry enough to want to kill you so that you're no longer here. And he doesn't want to do that anymore. So in the attempts to try to get better, he kidnaps Steve Carell and chains him up in his basement so that he could give him therapy sessions about his honest trauma, which is being a murderer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's crazy. And literally every episode is him trying to talk him off the ledge for murdering people, situations on which he has killed people, and how does he stop him from doing that, and ultimately how the heck does he get out of this basement that he's chained into. And the show did not let me down.
It did not. I feel like we're missing the thing too about like telling people like where these shows are on.
Ooh. Yeah.
So like I'll start real quick. It's like The Boys.
Don't ask me, because
The Boys, Amazon Prime. Peacemaker was HBO Max. What was your show? Gangs of London?
Gangs of London.
The thing is, like, that was a BBC, that's an overseas show. So, like, I don't think that we had a place to watch it. We had to watch it on our app. But Euphoria was HBO Max, and The Patient was Hulu as well.
There you go.
But, like, I also did very much enjoy.
It says try AMC. You can watch Gangs of London on AMC.
Does anybody actually have the AMC app?
I mean, it's on cable. AMC is on cable.
But I think the app like gets stuff, pulls stuff from different spots.
Got you.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure Gangs of London isn't on TV. That'd be wild, bro.
I mean, you never know. You never know these days.
Yeah, actually, you kind of do have a point. But I did like The Patient as well. It wasn't one of the ones that I was debating at, like for my spot, but it was just like I said, I think this goes to show how deep the well for television was.
Yes. Euphoria's on HBO Max. Did you say that already?
Yep, and then The Patient's on Hulu.
There you go. You on top of it.
Yeah, that's why I just said it a minute ago.
I got you. I mean,
you really be like when you search for something on the phone, like you have like tunnel vision. Like
I'm
you
trying
can't
to make sure I got you. I'm trying to make sure I got you. All right, what's your number 8?
My number 8 show from Hulu is The Bear. The Bear, it was a Raisin recommendation. I feel like I need to put it out there. I gotta put it out there. It was a Raisin recommendation, and I thought it was phenomenal. The Bear follows. I wish I knew the actor's real name, but he's Lip Gallagher from Shameless.
Yep.
But he runs a restaurant that was left to him by his dead brother. He was a
Jeremy Allen White.
He was a very renowned chef because like he went to France and was and worked in one of the top kitchens.
Yes.
And now he's coming back to Philadelphia, or is it Chicago?
Chicago.
So he's coming back to Chicago, like where his family's from, and it's like the diner's kind of a piece of trash dive diner, but like he's trying to find his way in there, and he's also trying to help the staff that's in there get out of like these bad habits that they formed about not caring about like the food, and it's like trying to show them a better way to make the restaurant more upscale. Right. And it's so well acted. Like there's so many people in here that this is their first time I've ever seen them in anything. And I was just like, I'm looking forward to seeing like a lot of these people, like the assistant chef.
The only person that's familiar is the cousin.
Yeah, his cousin. And the thing is, he's only familiar because of The Bear. Like he's starting to be in more stuff. Like he was in Andor and things of that nature. Yep. But for the most part, almost everybody in here besides Lip is like, it seems like it's their first time acting or their first time like in major roles. Yep. But like the feelings of loss and grief and like, family ties and all that stuff runs very, very heavy in the show. And it's like they tackle those things so well. And I cannot wait for season 2. I know it's coming. It made me hungry watching it, and it made me mad that like I didn't know how to cook as well as they do and stuff like that. But like I've taken some tips from the show. I know you have, because I've heard you be like, "Well, The Bear, they said do it like this." I've heard you say that a couple times.
I learned the whole thing about the stock.
That was your big thing.
How
was
you
the stock.
cook the stock, and then you let it sit to bring it back to something else for that flavor to sit and enrich. Then you boil it, then you turn it back down and simmer so it can build a gravy, caramelize and stuff. I've been doing some cooking in the kitchen, bro, and I've been, man.
I haven't gotten out one plate.
Listen, I got you, because I'm going to make the sandwich from The Bear.
Have you done it before?
Huh?
Have you done it before?
So I did the beef stock with the big roast and made like the mashed potatoes with the beef going over it with a little bit of vegetables on the side. I can show you a picture where that joint came out fire. But I know like they also do that in the show where they take the roast after they do all the same stuff to it, but then they put it on a sandwich, because that's what the show, this shop that they work at is famous for, those sandwiches that they make.
All right. You don't have to tell me where it is. Is The Bear on your list?
It is.
Okay. But go ahead. This is your number 8 or number 7?
Number 7. So at number 7, it was really tough because I had to move a couple things off. So I'll name a few things I moved off. I know we weren't doing honorable mention, but I moved off rap stuff.
Do you want to save honorable mentions until we get to like our number 1s?
I'm just telling you what I moved out of this spot.
Wait, so it dropped all the way from 7 to off the list?
Yes, because the other 3 was already there. So they plugged in there. So
rap shit also did not make my list. And it was tough because you know how much I was in love with the main girl from that show.
Listen, Bust Down got moved off. I really enjoyed the Bust Down. And I think the boys, no, not the boys. There was something else that was there. But either way, I went with Bel Air.
Ah, Bel Air made your list. Yes. It didn't make my top 10.
Bel Air made my list. Despite everything that's going on with Will Smith, I really enjoyed.
Nothing going on with Will. Ain't nothing wrong with Will. Nothing wrong with that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Except for his movie that tanked, and he's like, all right, we won't get it. I know that's your homie, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. You got that. All right. So, as we all have, really super enjoyed the Fresh Prince original series. Like a lot of emotions, a lot of lessons. Like literally watching them grow up on the TV screen, you almost feel like a part of that family. I feel like this is a new start to that, and like the real aspect of it. I really do wish that the main character would stop doing stuff other than acting, though, because you really are kind of ruining the character of Will for me when I see you trying.
He's a bad rapper, bro.
Trying to rap on some, or you're doing interviews with people. And I'm like, fam, just don't say anything that doesn't require you reading a script, bro.
Because this is his first role.
Yes, but everybody wants you to be like their new age version of the Fresh Prince and Will. And all the funny comedic stuff that he would do and the charismatic stuff. Don't worry about doing all of that, fam. Just do the show. Everything else will come naturally because you seem like a good kid, but don't overextend yourself. I kind of feel like he's the Dwight Howard following behind Shaq. Like, don't do it, fam. Don't do it. All right? Don't set yourself up like that. But I love the show. I think my favorite character might be Carlton.
And you hated Carlton.
Yes, I did.
You hated Carlton.
Yes, I did. But you know what? He's making the show. He's making the show.
My favorite is Jeffrey.
Ooh, that ain't a bad pick. That ain't a bad pick. But
that's all you gonna do to me, Phil?
Right.
After all I've done for you?
Right. So I'm pretty sure I don't have to
what do you think about
the show?
Marlon Wayans about as
the dad?
He's hilarious. How'd you think he did it?
He did good.
He did good.
I think he did good.
I think
he did good. I think he did good. And
Marlon being tough was a little hard to get into.
It was a little hard to get into.
Yo, what you doing, little nigga?
Anytime he came on the screen, all I could see was Marlon, which was also a good show that did not make my list. But Mike Epps had a show on Netflix.
Just go.
I know.
Finish talking about
Bel Air. There you go.
Which was on Peacock.
On Peacock, and the second season is coming out soon.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I was kind of worried because they made it seem like a series finale, and I was just like, was this just a limited series?
No.
What about Jazz? Jazz ain't up there.
The guy who plays Carlton had like a Instagram video or something. Was like, get ready for season 2, but it may not be real. Who knows? So hopefully there is another season 2.
That was your number 7, right?
Yes.
My number 7 show. Now, same thing I said about like the albums and stuff like that, right? I know it's not the best written show, but you want to talk about hype? I could not stop watching this damn show to save my life, and that is the Netflix show Cobra Kai. Let me tell you something. Cobra Kai
fell off my list, but I wanted it on there so bad, Joel. Just I couldn't do it.
There was a point where I was like, man, is Cobra Kai not gonna make my list? I was like, what the fuck am I talking about? You're damn right, Cobra Kai.
Like Cobra Kai could go right there at 7. So could C with Jason Momoa, but Cobra Kai should definitely. Man, I'm glad it's on your list. Go ahead.
Cobra Kai, baby. Like, what is there more to say? You got Miyagi-Do joining up with Cobra Kai Eagle Fang.
I'm telling you.
What you call it? And like they're going against the former Cobra Kai squad, not led by Kreese, but led by Terry Silver. And it's just like he's a fantastic villain. And it is like
ever.
They bring back Chosen, and it's like you didn't realize. They'd be like, man, I used to hate Chosen when I was younger. He's the best person on the show.
He's a real assassin. That man's really off of
This show was an anime, bro. There was a literal sword fight in a pool at one point in time. It was just, it's nothing but just like.
And I'm starting to believe what's his name? Neil Patrick Harris. When he was like, is that his name? From How I Met Your Mother? Yeah, Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
When he was like, Ralph Macchio was not the real Karate Kid. It was Johnny Lawrence.
Oh, yeah.
Kid from...
Because I'll tell you right now, I can't stand the LaRussos. I'm all
LaRussos
about...
are terrible.
I am team Johnny's family all day long.
Yes.
Like, give me that Robbie Keane and Miguel.
They're a cultural butterfly.
I'll tell you right now, Robbie Keane, I need you to be the next Green Ranger, White Ranger.
Yeah.
And Miguel is already about to be the Blue Beetle. I was about to say,
I was wondering, I was going to ask you about that because I did see him in some like type of costume.
They better not, DC, you better not mess around and delete that movie because that's our Latino hero right there. Besides No More, like we need this. We need this.
There's a running thing where they was like,
hey, I don't want to hear it. Why do they always have the Latinos fighting the black people?
That's what it is. Oh, No, they was like, listen, we're gonna let you go because the first 2 movies already happened. But if it happens in this movie, then we know y'all.
Nothing was better than when Dr. Umar kept talking about he didn't know what to call the Atlanteans, and he just kept calling them water Mexicans. he was like, why are the Negroes getting beat up by the water Mexicans? And he just kept. I was like, yo,
some dude had a video where he was like, he's just basically the Spanish Black Panther. He was like, no, he's the Jaguar. He's the Mexican Jaguar.
I digress because now we're not talking about Cobra Kai anymore. But Cobra Kai on Netflix, I feel like it is the TV version of Fast and the Furious, where it is just nothing but hype and digest this, and it's like, we know that this doesn't make sense, but forget about what you know. We're gonna move here, and it's just like this was the best version of the show. It's like we got because the first 2 seasons is all everybody's doing is switching sides. It's like you're a good guy, now you're a bad guy, now you're a good guy, now you're bad. But like now they have actual storylines. We have people that Hawks is pretty much like Vegeta now, where it's like he was the bad guy, or he was a good guy, then he was a bad guy, now he's a good guy again. We get great fights. I feel like the choreography has only gotten better. Cobra Kai, when the Cobra comes up at the end of the episode, it's like, no. I'm like, I was gonna go to bed, but I guess I'm not gonna go to work tomorrow. And that's what it is. Cobra Kai, my number 7.
All right. So at 6, I have The Bear.
Okay, all right.
I have The Bear
on Hulu.
On Hulu. So we won't go through it anymore, but that's where my number 6 is at. So we can go.
Any highlights from the season that you want to talk about?
Oh man. Yes. I think the best scene, one of the best scenes for me was they have a young black man working in the diner, and he does desserts.
That's the whole thing.
He just does desserts, but all his desserts have been just basic cakes, and those are desserts, pies and stuff like that. And then because because the chef kid is there, he finds the need to be like, you know what? If you could do it, I could do it. And I want to try to extend my palette of creativity. So he starts reading these books and looking up special colors, starting making new mixtures of flavors, starts getting real elegant with the desserts that he's making. And the whole time he's supposed to just be making bread, because the bread is for the sandwiches. So now the bread is starting to fall behind because he's reading these books and making these super elegant desserts. And at one point they were low on bread, and the dude, the kid, I can't remember his name.
Let's call him Lip.
We'll call him Lip. Lip is upset because he's behind on bread, because he's messing around with these freaking desserts. Everything's chaotic because they're trying this new system. He comes over with this cupcake who he looks like he's been working on for a month.
It's donuts. That's his whole thing. He's like, I've been doing donuts.
Yes, it's a donut, but the color is right. He feels like the flavor is right. But he needs somebody. One thing you do in the kitchen is you have somebody else taste it, because you've been around the flavors and the smell so much that sometimes you become numb to it. You need someone else to taste it. And he comes over and he's like, are you still playing with these freaking donuts? And smacks the donut on the floor. And I'm like, oh, so dude gets tight. He leaves. Everything gets chaotic. Somebody else leaves. And at the end of the shift, things don't go well. And what's sitting on the floor is the donut. And what does Lip do? He picks the donut off the floor and tastes it and goes, that's a good donut.
He was like, fuck, that's a good donut. It's not like that. He's like, yeah, that was a good donut. And he's just like,
it's like, dang, I messed up. And just the whole thing of how that unraveled, and knowing that he has to fix that, all of that is just super impressive.
So the thing about
it's just a donut.
That whole episode was all shot in one shot. Because that's the episode where they get the machine and they have all the orders that got taken way ahead of time or whatever. And it's they never, it's all one camera the whole time going all through the kitchen. So you get to really feel how chaotic the kitchen is. Because it's because they're going from this person to this person, this person's yelling and they did this, and then you go back around, and by the time you come back around, you're like, yo, what's up with the bread? And you're just like, oh man, you forgot about the bread. But yo, we gotta get the stock going, and stuff like that. And it's you're in there, and then it's when he smacks the donut, your heart breaks.
Yeah, man.
Because he's such a that's his character. It's there's nothing bad about him. There's some of the people in there, they're kind of shitty, or it's they haven't figured out how to be good. He's in from day one.
Yep.
And he's yo, I want to do what you did. I can do that.
Yeah.
And it's it's so heartbreaking when that donut hits the ground.
Yeah. My other favorite scene is when Shorty drops the stock. when Lip leaves the store, she's literally like running everything, and she's not really ready for it, but she's trying to hold it down, and all this stuff is going on. The Spanish lady's hating on her, trying to set her up for failure. Through all of that, the last thing that really is frustrating is like dropping that stock, and she drops that joint, and she's just like almost falls apart, and it's like.
And I think he comes through, right? It's like the black is the one that comes through.
Yes, it holds her down. So that was a pretty dope one too. But it's a great show. Check it out.
It's on Hulu.
Yes.
That was your number 6?
Yes.
My number 6 was my number 2 show because it came out earlier this year.
Okay.
It was my number 2 show for almost the whole year. And then as shows came down, I watched it go down. It hurt my heart. But the journey that we went on, and it was just like, I feel like this show was made for me.
Don't say it.
Don't say it?
No, go ahead.
And it's like, I feel like this show was specifically made for me. And it is the HBO Max show, Winning Time, about the Los Angeles Lakers in the 80s dynasty.
That's a good show.
It was so good. Like I was I remember us talking about it on here, and I was like, this is the best show on TV.
That's a good show.
And it's just like, as the time has gone along, it's just kind of whatever. And for those who don't know, it is a show, it's a dramatization of the 80s Lakers when they drafted Magic Johnson. So like you're getting how Magic got there, how he meshed with Kareem, how they won the championship the rookie year, how Pat Riley got involved, and it's like, the head coach who winds up getting in an accident. It's like there's so many things going on, but it is
bike accident.
It's so much compelling TV. And like I said, I feel like it was made specifically for us because it's like, we're going to talk about basketball and we're going to have talk about the history of basketball. We're going to recreate some very famous scenes and have some famous people. It's like you couldn't ask for a better thing. But it's like besides that, even if you don't watch basketball, it is just a good show. Like the show itself is just good. And it's like, I don't know who the actor is that plays Magic Johnson, but I know we're going to see him.
He's great.
We're going to see him somewhere else at some point in time. Also, I don't know this. This is a legit question. The people that are playing the basketball players on the show, they're not 6'9" or nothing like that, right? They just make them look bigger.
Camera piece.
All right, because I was wondering that because Magic Johnson looks like he's 6'9".
And a lot of these cameramen are rolling around on rollerblades.
So the basketball scenes in there, the camera's on the floor with them, and they're so you're in the frenetic pace and seeing how different Magic Johnson plays versus all these other people. You get to see Dr. J and my personal favorite Larry Bird is on here. It is a fantastic show. If you're a basketball fan, you must watch. Winning Time. If you don't like basketball, but you just want to see what the 80s were like and how crazy that period was. John C. Reilly as Jerry Buss, fantastic. Mm-hmm. Do yourself a favor, watch Winning Time, HBO Max.
There you go. All right, we at number 5, right?
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 is none other than the boy Franklin Saint, Snowfall.
Go ahead.
I love this show. For so many different reasons. For one, because it's chronicalizing the entry of the crack era and how it changed communities and changed people, and it's something that people are still recovering from to this day. But people saw Franklin Saint in front of their eyes grow from this young, educated, school-going boy to this young, educated dog.
Let me handle that breaking.
Said, you want me to mess up my business because you don't like the way another brother talk? Drive. It's like, it's like, listen.
Ain't nobody messing up this money.
Nobody's.
Except for him.
Listen, there's so many iconic scenes when Franklin came and his face was beat up. And he was just like, I want you to go back in there, and whoever the toughest dude in there, you beat his face off. He's look at my homie's face, and broke the phone on the window. I love Man Boy. Man Boy has done such a great job.
Go ahead. I'm gonna say something. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. I love my favorite character, which is the uncle.
Yeah, man, Jerome.
Teach your boy how to squabble.
Teach him how to squabble.
But listen, the way it goes, from
where the bitches,
right, the whole family infrastructure of how he started this with his aunt and his uncle, and then they branched off, the constant guidance he was trying to be there from his mom and his father to not be doing this, to the support of his best friend Leon and him doing his whole thing, and just how like people are just trying to make it, but through that making it, you're literally tearing down everything that's around you, you know? And some people are starting to realize that and growing into different people. But the biggest picture of it all is that through all these black people killing each other and selling these drugs, it makes it very clear and present that we do not own boats. We do not own the ability to get this stuff over into our city. And there's one person who does not look like everybody else that is furnishing all of this just for the dollars to feed a war. And that joint is just wild crazy.
One of these things is not like the other. One of these things is unseasoned. I'm actually very surprised to not only see this on your list, but to see how high it was. Because I feel like when we talked about this show a lot this year, like we didn't have a lot of positive things to say because like a lot of the scenes that you're even talking about aren't from this season of Snowfall.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like this, like it took the finale for us to be like, why wasn't this the whole show the whole time? Like it was, this was to me personally, like this was a dip in the quality that we're used to.
Yes.
For Snowfall, because Snowfall was at one point in time, like we were talking about, like this is must see TV. Like this is one of the shows, like you gotta watch Snowfall. But like we had a hard time getting through this season in particular.
It was painful, but I'm still in love with the show.
Which is on Hulu, by the way, for those of you who are looking for Snowfall.
It is. Good job. All right, what's your number 5?
My number 5. And I also want to preface this by saying all of these shows are great. I feel like all of these shows from right now and up is must-see TV.
Okay.
If you have not seen these shows, I believe you need to stop what you're doing, or like whatever you're watching right now that's your favorite go-to show. It's like when that's done, you need to sit down and watch whatever one of these ones have not been seen yet. And this is the Netflix original From Scratch, starring Zoe Saldana at my number 5. I know we've talked about this show at least 3 times on here because it's like I watched it, then you watched it, and now we're talking about it now. This show is an emotional roller coaster. I'm just going to
save you the time and tell you this is my number 4. So
we're going back to back with it anyways.
There you go.
From Scratch. Zoe Saldana, phenomenal in this. Zoe Saldana is a American student. She's going to Italy to try to learn about like the art. And she falls in love with a young Italian cook named Lino. They decide to get married and move back to America, and they just go through all the ups and downs that you could possibly go through in any relationship. And my recommendation is if you're going to watch this show, get your tissue boxes ready because it is emotional porn. Like that's how it's like. I haven't cried like this in like quite some time. If your relationship is not strong, do not watch the show with your significant other. If your relationship is strong, do yourself a favor, watch it with your shorty, your man, whoever you watching it with. From Scratch, fantastic all the way through. Must see TV. It's only like 8 episodes. It's on Netflix.
Tough.
I mean, it's my number 5, his number 4, so it's top 5 on both of our lists. That means something.
Go to your number 4.
All right. I feel like just talking about the show is getting you emotional.
It is.
My number 4 show. It is a show that, like, as it went along, every episode just built on itself. It built on itself, and I found myself halfway through, like, being like, "Is this the best show on TV?" Ooh. And I had to temper my expectations quite a bit, like a little bit, but. I'll be damned. This show knocked my socks off. It's, I think, the best piece of media that is on Disney Plus, not counting the MCU movies, because we're talking about TV shows. And that is the Star Wars original Andor, starring Cassie at number 4. The acting performances in this show are fantastic, and dare I say, this might be one of the best pieces of Star Wars media. Period. And this movie stars the TV show stars Diego Luna, who plays Cassian Andor, who is I want to say famously, but he's not really famously. He ends up being a spy that steals the plans for the Death Star that is then sent to Luke Skywalker in order for him to able to defeat it. He was one of the leaders on that mission, and this is his journey on how he became one of the lead spies for the rebellion. And I'm so glad there's no Sith and no Jedis in here. It is like what it is like to be in a Star Wars universe as a regular person.
Right.
It goes from a heist show to a prison show to a rebellion show, and it's just like the speeches, the emotions, like this show is so well written for a character who we shouldn't even care about. We shouldn't care about this character like at all. And it's like they found a way to not only make this thing so interesting, it is probably the best piece of Star Wars media that we've seen. I'm talking Mandalorian, I'm talking Boba Fett, I'm talking Clone Wars, prequels, the new sequels. Like, it is up there for me. I absolutely adored Andor.
I did as well.
Is it on your list?
It is on my list. And I only have 3 left.
So that was my number 4. So
And at number 3, I have House of the Dragons.
I'm gonna save y'all some time to say it's on my list too, but I'll get to it.
So, House of the Dragons.
I accidentally got so hyped that I wiped some of the snow, so I'm trying to rewrite it.
House of the Dragons is the prequel to Game of Thrones, and it goes through the journeys of not only how the lineage comes to be the characters of Game of Thrones, but also the time and the land of which dragons were like freely living and part of the community. Because in Game of Thrones, there's only the 3 dragons that are owned by, what's her name?
Daenerys Targaryen.
Daenerys Targaryen. She had the 3 eggs, ended up with 3 dragons. But in this day and time, whenever you're born Targaryen, you're gifted with an egg, and that egg becomes your dragon. So, like, to be in that family means that you will also have a dragon to ride. So there's big dragons, there's small dragons, there's like people training their dragons, people who have been in wars with their dragons. Oh, nope. And it's phenomenal to see the way these characters develop and the way they do not like each other, the way they do love each other, the deceit, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, if you're going to back me up, it's just like this.
Just the politics of it all, and it's just like, you know, how like they're technically part of the same family, and it's like this one king just trying to get through. Like, he knows that like his lineage is like up, and all he needs to do is just figure out the succession.
Right.
And it's like everybody in his family is just making his life a living hell trying to figure this damn thing out.
No different from Game of Thrones. Everybody want to sit on that Iron Throne, and they will do whatever it takes to get there.
The crazy thing is a lot of people don't want to sit on it, and it's like because they just end up, now I want to because I don't like you, and I don't want you sitting on the throne.
Right.
I'm going to get into it more when it comes to my number. So it's like, I don't need to get into it now, but like,
that's my 3.
Top 3. We in the top 3, baby. My number 3 was Rings of Power on Amazon Prime.
I saw that coming.
It's on Amazon Prime. This top 3, they were these motherfuckers was slap boxing each other to see who was going on. I felt like it was like picking your starter Pokemon, where it was like, oh, do I go Charmander? Do I go Squirtle? Do I go Venusaur? They're all such great choices, but somebody had to be Bulbasaur. Like, I love Bulbasaur. He's probably my favorite. But anyways, Rings of Power is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings franchise. It is the story of Galadriel and the war of, I don't know what you would call the war, but it's like the rise of Mordor and Sauron, and like how we eventually got to the events of Lord of the Rings. So it's like the creation of the rings, the rebirth of Sauron, and every episode feels like a movie. Like, I don't know how they do it, and I don't know if it's because the episodes are just long as hell. Because it's like, I think
because it's such a very strong connection to the movie, it just feels like it's like the theatric, like animation of the movie, the title, like there's
effort put into this. Like,
it feels like a movie.
They put all their effort, all the money into it, and it's just like the story is so compelling. Where it's like, it's another thing. It's a prequel. Like, you shouldn't really care about like a lot of these characters, but they make the story so interesting, and it's just like if certain things would have went a certain way, then we would have never, like, Frodo wouldn't even had to throw the ring in Mount Doom and stuff like that. And for it to be able to separate itself like from that, like, yes, like there's some things where it's like you could see how these people became these people, or like, man, if it was for this person, like, this is how it got here. The world building and like every it's like the world building and the lore and everything is just so engaging that it's like I don't know what the hell half of anybody's saying half the time, but it's like I know what's going down, and it's like I don't know half of these people's names because they're all names like Renario, but like they're like these wild ass names, and I'm like, yo, that's my man Odysseus, that's my girl Fat Harfoot,
Grey Worm.
Smith, Puerto Rican Grey Worm is my guy. Puerto Rican Grey Worm is my guy, and it's like you start to see like like where the elves and like where everybody was at, and I thought it was phenomenal all the way through. It could have been 1, 2, or 3, but I feel like my 1 and 2 just Charleston just a little bit.
Oh yeah,
just a little bit. Like there's so much little room for error. Like at this point in time, must see TV, Amazon Prime, Rings of Power.
So my number 2 is Andor.
I'm so excited.
I won't lie to you. When you recommended this joint, I was like, I am tired of watching Star Wars TV shows. Like, I don't want to watch a Star Wars TV show. I don't want to see lightsabers. I don't want to see people floating stuff around. All that stuff. I'm over it. All right. Not saying that the franchise is not good, it's dope. Like, I get it. But I was just like, I'm all set. This was not that. This, you could actually like call this something other than Star Wars and it would still be good. You know what I mean? It could just be like, oh, this is some of the stuff on Star Wars. Like, yeah, it is, but like, cause there's not like no R2D2 or no C3PO.
Oh,
like
disrespect about me and B2?
No, but what I'm saying is like, like you can have robots in anything. Like, cause when I see him, he reminds me of Wally. You know what I mean?
You were calling him Wally.
I was calling him Wally. You know what I mean? Aside from seeing the stormtroopers that be walking around the town, like they could be regular people not in those outfits, and this would still be a good show that doesn't feel like it's connected to Star Wars. So I feel like they're not using this show to lean on the franchise. This is like a new beginning of excitement, and they didn't fail with that. And it was pretty dope to like see where everything was going. And like you said, the different buildups of like where this show went from just like being in town to the heist, to the jail piece, to the revolution, and to the family connections and everything that people are sacrificing for their city is just like, it was pretty dope. And I enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it that much.
It's so crazy about a story that was long ago in a galaxy far, far away. The story still resonates with today.
I thought you was about to read the title side.
No.
As the words are going up into the sky.
Like the story kind of resonates today, like about like the resistance and like being asleep and like fighting when you should fight.
Yep.
And it's like how relevant like a lot of these things are today. I got to ask, because this was a recommendation that I had given you. What eventually sold you? Like, what was the point where you were like, all right, I'm really banging with this? At
first, I was very upset because in the first episode or 2, they killed all the black people. And I was just like, all right, I'm all set. Like, you brought me here to watch these people get murked. I'm all set. So for me, dang, the moment where I was just like, I'm into it. Dang, it probably was the jail.
That was where it really got you?
Yeah.
Andy Serkis. Wow. Like yeah, whatever the award is. Whatever the award
probably
is.
Was the jail.
Bravo.
Yeah, the prison stuff was tough. The prison stuff was tough. And that's when because I was kind of just like watching it just to watch it to see where it was getting to. But once it got to the prison stuff, I was like, oh, this is starting to ramp up. And it definitely ramped up.
And that's the thing is like it seems like every episode ups the ante.
Yes.
Like it never been like, oh well, like, you know, episode 7 was whack. It's right. Like, no, every episode keeps getting better than the last. And it's like, yo, my man Skarsgård dropping pennies on the ground like with every speech that he's got in this thing. Yeah. It's just like, oh, I cried watching the show. Like the show, like I'm so surprised that it's in the top 3. Like I'm more excited that you have it higher than I had it. But then it makes me wonder, is Rings of Power not on your list?
It's not.
I feel like I'm making that noise a lot.
I enjoyed Rings of Power, but I didn't really like.
It's okay. I mean, hey, not everything's for everybody.
Right.
Like I said, this is a packed list. It's a packed list.
Right. What do you have at number 2?
My number 2, Stranger Things. Stranger Things.
All the way at 2. And this was a dope season.
Number 2 was a great. My boy Vecna.
Yeah.
My boy Vecna was a top tier villain this year, bro.
Yeah. And it was a refreshing villain because I was just like, yo, if y'all come back with this little spider smoke, like, yo, set.
Vecna, the skin flare?
Yeah. But nah, Vecna was dope. Go ahead. I won't steal your thunder. Go ahead.
No, I mean, Stranger Things is Stranger Things at this point in time. Obviously, it's a Netflix show.
Yep.
Need to put that out there, but it's like, it's the new age Goonies. You know what I mean? It's
overlooked Stranger Things.
It
was on my list too.
Stranger Things is not on your list at all?
No.
Are you being for real? Like, Stranger Things is not in your top 10 shows at all?
No.
Wow. I'm thrown aback. I'm like, no, I really don't know what's your 2 and 1, and I'm very, very curious.
My 2 is Andor.
What's your number 2? Oh yeah, I don't know what your number 1 is. I'm so thrown aback.
I'm worried because now
perplexed.
I'm thinking that your number 1, my show, is not on your top 10 because you only have 1 spot left, and I'm thrown back. But go ahead.
Yeah, and so this season, we get to see like everybody like in different spots. So like I don't know what you call the organization that housed 11, like whatever the man in white or whatever his name was.
Right.
You know, they seek out 11 now, and like they're trying to willingly.
I was supposed to have Stranger Things on this list.
Yeah, you were, bro. Just off of Eddie Munson alone, bro. Just off of my boy Eddie alone. Yeah, man.
No.
Dude, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. Do you want to make an amends? Do you want to drop something off and put Stranger Things on? We get Harper in Russia going hand to hand with a Demogorgon and his Russian adventure, and Winona Ryder trying to save him. We get
I'm gonna take off Euphoria.
Euphoria gets the boot. I'm not even mad about it. How high up does Stranger Things go?
I'm just gonna put it at 9.
I mean, as long as it's in the top 10, I don't care. Sorry, Euphoria. Got the boot.
Dang, that was tough. All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So we get, you know, I'm trying to think of like what you want to call these groups. You get like the teenage group with like Steve and them like trying to do their best, you know, to find out like where Vecna is. It's like this show is like the main show where it's like everyone knows a piece of the information, but they don't talk about that piece of information to everybody. And it's like if they all had the information to begin with, they would have been all right.
Just talk to each other.
At the end of the day, this show is about Vecna versus 11. Like the mystery of who Vecna is or Vecna was a fantastic reveal, was a great run around. And it's like they do such a great job this season of tying everything back. Like everything, you're just like, oh man, that's what that was. Oh, that's what that was. And I don't know how to get into it without spoiling like a lot of stuff, but Stranger Things season 4. Season 4, I thought was top tier television, and it was you know, they dropped it in 2 parts.
Yep.
And I remember like being so pissed off that I had to wait for that second part. Yep. And it's the second part only had like 2 episodes, and they were each 2 hours long.
Yep.
And I was like, man, let me just go. I was just like, yo, I'm clearing the schedule, boy. And it was like, you want to talk about appointment viewing, and you want to talk about like being in the pop culture zeitgeist. Like everybody like talk about that stuff. Like the song that you never could make a deal with one. Like that song was in the 60s, didn't even do numbers back then, was the #1 song.
Yes.
And Kate Bush was like, yo, I don't know what's going on, but all of a sudden,
what song was Oh Boy playing on top of that?
It was a Metallica.
Yes.
And I was like, I can't remember what the name of the power.
That man had a solo.
There's so many great moments, and it's just like it's one of those things where it's like
the ball on that one.
Yeah, Stranger Things is like that show where you're just like, oh, I can't wait for Stranger Things to come out.
Right.
And then it comes out, and you're like, man, like, do I really want to watch Stranger Things? And then you get into it, and you're like, fuck, I love this show.
Should have been watching it.
I love this show, bro.
Should have been watching it.
You sure you don't want to move it up from number 9? You don't want to slide in it. You want to slide it up at all? It's my number 2. Just check it. Look at that. Is it better than The Patient? I'm just gonna go. Let's just go through it like that. Is it better than The Patient? Snowfall dropped all the way down to 9. It went from 5 to 9.
I just don't want to do too much moving.
So now we're going to our number 1 shows.
Yes.
Do you want to do your honorable mention first now of like a couple of shows that like could have made the list, they didn't make the list, but they were very close to making the list? Do you have like maybe like a 3 or 5?
Nah, because I think I've already been saying them. As I go along.
Okay.
Go ahead and take my photo right quick.
I was going to say,
yours in a second.
Wednesday was very close, but it didn't make it.
Okay.
Barry was very close, and it didn't make it. I really, really liked Barry. HBO Max, Barry, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Umbrella Academy on Netflix. It was a decent season, but I liked the show overall. Rap Shit on HBO Max. Yes. It hurt my heart to not put it on there. Rap Shit should have been on there. Yellow Jackets was up there. Yep. Patient was on there. Atlanta, the final season of Atlanta. It was so up and down, bro. It was so hard to not put it on.
Such a roller coaster. It was tough for me.
There was a lot of episodes we're like, I don't like this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that I've been a champion for P-Valley, but I just couldn't put it on here with certain other things. I was a big champion of that. And then one of that I was surprised didn't make it was Ozark. I thought Ozark was going to be in my top 10, and it didn't make mine.
Yeah, nah. There was a couple things where I was just like, but Ozark was tough.
It was tough, but there was a couple episodes where it was just like I was on my phone a lot.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
What's your number one show?
Abbott Elementary.
It didn't make my top 10.
I knew it. I was just like, yo, this is not in this top 10. I'm so confused.
It's still on TV, and it's like, it's great, but it's like, I've never been like, oh shit, I forgot about it. Like, I feel like that's how I watch Abbott. I'm like, oh, I forgot about Abbott.
I'm checking for Abbott all the time.
Is there a thing too where it's like, now it's like not coming out on Tuesdays, it's coming out on Wednesdays, and it's like, that joint's driving me crazy, bro.
Yes. I don't know what it is. I'm just like checking my little piracy app. It's like, has it popped up yet? Because I need some Abbott Elementary. I love this show.
Go for it. Go, hey, get into it.
Listen, it's
your number one show.
It's my number one show.
It's on Hulu?
Yes.
I think the first season's on HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
If you wanted to, I think you could do that.
I didn't know that.
I know you watch it on your Abby app.
Yes. Listen, this show is my life.
It really is, bro.
It is.
It really is.
It is. And it's just like, it's so relatable. It's just like that. From the first episode, I was like, hey, that just happened in school the other day. It's like I know who that teacher is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know who that principal is. Like, I know who this is. Like, it's so relatable. And just for them to like address the concerns like of kids growing up in public schools, underfunded, but still like keep it comical and keep it warm and still addressing relationships and getting the realistic point of view of what teachers are going through while they're spending 8 to 9 hours a day with your kids while you're at work. Like, they are living with your children more than they are living with you. Like, and they are making these little small pockets of families all over this building. And the way communities grow and the way people navigate through life are happening in these classrooms. Like,
you're making me want to drop the boys off this list. I'm gonna stand strong because I love Abbott Elementary. I love the show,
right.
And it's like for some reason I just couldn't put it on my on my top 10.
I started from number 1 and then went back down to 10 to count up to 1. Like I was like, Abbott is there. Abbott is there for me.
It's tough. Like, I think there was a couple episodes this year that didn't hit. And I think that's what it was. I think it took until
the Halloween episode.
I was gonna say it took until the Halloween episode.
Everything down.
The Halloween episode was so good, and I was like, "This is what I've been waiting for."
Yes.
And I think that's what it was. It's like it took a minute to go.
Yes. What did it cost
you?
Everything. When he took that piece of candy.
It always comes back to the trash.
Back to the trash. He's like, I'm gonna sue you for plagiarism.
I see you in court, mother.
Oh man.
Yeah, put that.
I got you.
I swear this joint cut me off at my number 1.
Go ahead. You got it.
Damn. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm really considering putting Abbott at my number in my list, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm staying strong.
10 seconds to reconsider.
You'll thank me later, Homelander. I'm keeping you at number 10. Abbott Elementary is not making the list, but I do think it's a great watch.
Hey, what is your number 1?
My number 1 was your number 3, House of the Dragon.
Ooh.
I thought it was the definition of must-see TV this year. I thought it was like everybody was tuning in. It felt like back in the day before streaming, when on Sundays everybody was sitting down. We were all watching Breaking Bad. We were watching Walking Dead. We were watching Game of Thrones. Everybody was sitting down and watching the same thing. I feel like House of the Dragons was the same way. For this show to fall in the footsteps of Game of Thrones, which was one of the greatest television shows of all time, but it had a bad ending. And it left that bad taste in our mouth, and everybody was very, very skeptical about the show. I remember I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it through. And it's like, lo and behold, the writing, the dialogue of this show, it's so engaging. The characters, like all it's like, you fall right back into what made you fall in love with Game of Thrones in the first place. It's the lore, it's the dialogue, it's the scheming, it's the plotting.
I feel like it's a second chance too. Because
it is.
We all know that last season and the few couple episodes were trash. And like, all this hard work ends like this. So this is like a fresh start to just be like...
Not like this.
So I just feel like it's a fresh start to like, make up for the mistake that they had there.
And the thing is, like, to know that this first season was like such a small piece in the actual book, and to know that we're actually getting to bigger and better, because all this really was the life and death of oh my god, the head Targaryen. It's gonna kill me what his name is. Something with a V.
Their names be so crazy.
Come on, man. It's not Aegon, because Aegon's the son. They named it after Varys Targaryen. Oh man, but it's like his.
I'm like, dude, the eye patch.
He was a skeleton by the end of this. Like a lot of that stuff.
The dude that had the ghost face mask on.
Yeah, but like you want to talk about like, and then we're seeing like Rhaenyra Targaryen, Daemon Targaryen. We're falling back in love with this show and like these clans and like all this other stuff, and it's just like it's so well written, and every episode has a moment where it's like it's the most talked about moment of the week until the next episode comes out. And it was like you couldn't go on Twitter, you couldn't go on IG if you hadn't watched the episode yet, and it felt good like having those conversations at work again, where it's just like, yo, tell me you saw yesterday's episode. Like, yo, what do you think's gonna happen? And then someone's like, yo, but I read the books and this happened. And like, it's just like, it was so engaging. It was so well written. It was my number one show for the year.
That's what's up.
HBO's House of the Dragon. You want to run through your list real quick again?
Whatever show it's on, Abbott Elementary.
It's on Hulu. You want to run through your list one more time before we sign off?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. I was going to say, like, we're going to be posting the list and everything on our Instagram page 2 days after we post, so that way we don't ruin the hype for anybody. Do yourself a favor. These shows, give them a shot. I watched 30-something television shows for y'all, like almost 40 TV shows, and I gave you the top 10, and it was tough. It was tough to cut through this stuff. Do yourself a favor. Watch these shows. We're going to see y'all on part 3 for movies.